Going back the next thing, I find my aunt coming to school and I'm like, hey, you always don't come to school. Why are you here? So we went home and mom had passed. Now that is in 2008. You know what hurt me the most is like, she passed when she was still blind. I remember by that time my dad was constructing a house. So my mother could just go and touch it and feel like, hii nyumba yangu imefika wapi? Because it was really tough. You see, it was my mother that I grew up with mostly. And this was a blind mother as well. She was never blind anyway. It just happened with, you know, that thing Enyata will plan just comes. I'm like, how do I go back to school? You know, it is not easy. My mom has just passed and you want me to go to a boarding school. How? So actually my dad took me to the boarding school and he went to Wajir. But then I never lacked anything because my dad was the type like, what do you need? What don't you have? But you see, that is not enough. Because as a parent presence, it means a lot. You see, that teenagehood, you are growing on your own. No, the mother is not there, your dad is not there. And he's providing everything for you. You know, at that time, that is when you need love, to be loved. So my mom has passed and like, now people have forgotten about it. So how do I forget about it? After, now I'm in Form 3. My mom passed in August 2008. So this is Term 1, 2008. Now I'm like, studying isn't my thing. Because my mind, it's not there. I'm still thinking of my mom. So the headmistress had to call me and ask me, Uru, what is wrong? We know you had a difficult life, but you have to study. I'm like, who do I study for? Who? My mother is not there. Do I study for myself? And she's like, yes, suppose it is your future we are talking about. So things go tough anytime naanza kufikiria, I could just faint. So I realized that it was affecting me. So my dad was advised the only thing you can do is take her to a day school next to her home, our home now, so that it would have been easier for me to heal. And I was like, this life is not for me. Because at the village, I'm alone with my grandmother. At that time, we never used to get along. You know, we are like strangers. We never used to stay there. There's some cultures I don't even understand myself, but she wants to force me to understand them. And I'm like, you know, that time you are Mrs. Know-it-all. You know everything. I'm like, my mother is not there. What can you tell me? So I decided to go back to Nandi Hills, because that is where my heart belonged. So going back to Nandi Hills, what was I going to do? I decided to, then one time I met the owner of the school where I used to study. And she was like, Uru, have you finished Form 4? I'm like, yes, I've finished Form 4. Can I get you a job? Where are your papers? I don't have them yet. I had a school fees balance. And that time I haven't even done my Form 4. So my dad called me that time and asked me, you should at least register for Form 4 exams. Go back and study. And then I realized my dad was saying some sense. You know, by that time I was bitter with my dad. I mean, he should be with me. I mean, we should be together at this point. Because it's like I was on my own. By then I met some few friends. And you know, those friends could make me feel like I'm loved. These people, and you know, when it comes to such a time, the only consolation you can find was in a man, obviously. So when I met this guy and I was like, this is what I've been looking for. So after that I asked myself, what was I looking for? So we continued dating until when I realized that now my dad is calling me, asking me, you're not going to do your exams. So after Kisii Town, we went to Nandi Hills. So there, a day to exams, my dad calls me. My dad actually knew I was in Nandi Hills, but he never followed me up. You know, he was tired because he expected me to act on my own. But for me, I was not seeing that. Mind yangu ilikuwa that I want that life of doing what I want to do, what my mind tells me. So that is when I realized to go back and do my exams. So I actually traveled that same day. So the following day, the principal is like, Uru, what are you doing here? I'm like, I came to do my exams. I don't have a set. I don't have anything. So I had to borrow. The principal himself went and brought me a set and a ruler and told me, I wish you the best. I don't know where I had gotten that confidence that this exam I'm going to pass. How are you going to pass from 3, from 4? You haven't studied. So after my exams, so that is when the reality. So I'm doing my exams, come to realize that I'm 5 months pregnant and I don't know. So I'm like, what? Where do I start from? I was 18 years by then. Actually, okay, it was the right age. I'm a grown up by then. So, where do I start from? My mother is not there. So I decided to seek consolation actually in the wrong place, of which I shouldn't have. So that is when the reality started hitting me. I'm going to be a mother. What am I going to do? So I decided to stay at home.